I've recently purchased this One Tigris iron wall stove tent, but it's too large to fit inside my backpack. The obvious remedy to this would be to use a couple of gear straps to attach it to the outside of my backpack. I wasn't in love with this idea, however, for a few different reasons. The first being that if I strap this to the outside of my backpack, it's only got this thin material that the stuff sack is made out of to protect it from damage. Another reason being that if you strap something to the outside of your backpack, then you run the risk of losing it. You might find it hard to believe that you could drop something this large and not realize that it's missing, but it happens to people a lot. Yet another reason being that just aesthetically, I have a black backpack with a bunch of black pouches strapped to it, and if I strap this coyote colored tent to it, it just kind of messes with the aesthetic. That's probably not a big deal to a lot of people, but it's just something that kind of irked me. My solution was to make a custom carrying case for the tent that would connect to the outside of my backpack. Essentially what I have here is just a duffel bag that fits the dimensions of the tent perfectly. And then it's got two compression straps so that I can cinch that load down and not have it shift. I took this other pouch off to give a better view of how this attaches. But basically on the bottom of my backpack here, this might look familiar to you, I got 4 pieces of webbing for attaching gear. On this duffel bag, I've sewn these compression straps to the side of the duffel bag using 2 large box X stitches and a few bar tacks on the end. And the bar tacks right here will meet up to the inside of these pieces of webbing. I'll start by taking the ends of these compression straps and putting them through the loops more towards the back of the pack. And then on the duffel bag, I've actually sewn another 4 pieces of webbing to feed the straps back through. And then I'll just do the same thing with the other ends of the straps. Feed them through those other 2 pieces of webbing on the bag. And then again back through these 2 pieces of webbing sewn to the duffel. punch those down. Make everything secure. Now, a problem I realized I was going to have early on in the design process was once I get this bag strapped to the main pack, I didn't want it pressing against my butt while I was trying to hike. I don't know if you've ever had a piece of gear pressing against your butt while you're trying to hike, but it's pretty annoying, and your butt's actually a pretty important muscle when it comes to hiking. So you don't want a piece of gear interfering with it doing its job. So I thought through a few different design options, and eventually the one I landed on and decided to try out was to come up with a really short gear strap. What I have here is, this is just a piece of 1-inch webbing, same as our compression straps here, and I bought a pair of these metal hooks, and basically to make these work, all you do is you sew a loop into the end of the gear strap, and you feed that through the slider on the hook, and then this hook just hooks through the loop. So what I do with these is I've sewn in some of these rectangular metal rings into the compression straps, and basically what I do is I feed this strap, I feed that loop end through that metal ring, and I go up through this PALS webbing, because when I have my other pouch attached to this section of the bag here, this loop and this set of loops here are free. There's no molly straps going through it. So basically what I do is I feed this strap through those two sets of loops, and then I come back down below the pouch, hook that in place. I'll do the other one real quick. And then when I tighten up these straps, it'll pull that bag towards the front of the backpack and away from your butt. Making for a much more comfortable hike. I didn't film the process of making this bag this time, but soon I'll make a video explaining how I designed the bag, why I added in certain features, explaining some of the mistakes I made along the way, so hopefully you can avoid making those mistakes yourself. I'll explain how I came up with the dimensions of the bag, the measurements for my cuts, and I'll even explain, try and explain some of the changes I made as I was putting the bag together, and explain why I made those changes. So stay tuned and look for that video if you're interested in making a bag like this yourself.